everybody. Today we're going to practice counting money a little bit, and we are going to add some quarters in with what we're doing. Now in kindergarten we don't have to count with quarters, but I know that some of you guys have been practicing so much with your pennies and nickels, and then you added dimes, and now you're about ready to use some quarters for some bigger amounts of money. So I wanted to talk for a few minutes about using quarters. So there's a quarter. Who does that have on there? Yeah, George Washington. And how much is it? Yeah, it's worth 25 cents. So when I taught older grades and we had to count money, I always just told my students, you need to just memorize. That means just train your brain to know how much a couple of quarters are, or how much a little group of quarters is worth. Okay, so we know that 1 quarter is 25 cents. So do you know how much 2 quarters are when you put them together? Yeah, that's 50 cents. So 2 quarters is 50 cents, and you want to just learn that fact. 2 quarters equals 50 cents. Good. Now, what about 3 quarters? What about 3 quarters? Do you know how much 3 quarters are together? That's another one you're going to need to just memorize. It is 75 cents. So it's 25 plus 25 plus 25, and that equals 75 cents. And then the other fact you're going to want to know is that 4 quarters equal 100 cents, which is the same thing as $1. And look how I wrote that. I wrote it differently than I've been writing my cents, right? I put a decimal here, and that is used to separate dollars from cents. So when I have $1 and no cents, this is how I write it. 1 decimal 00. And you see, instead of using my little symbol that means cents, I'm using a new symbol that means $1. And that looks like an S with a line through it, or I make mine with 2 lines through it. So that's my dollar sign. And everything over on this side of the decimal is dollars, and everything over on the right side of the decimal is cents. If you remember, when we learned to say big numbers, I used to always tell you, don't use the word and. We're going to save that for when we use decimals. Well, here you go. Here's a place where you get to say and. So if you had $1.05, you could say $1.05. So it's a place where we get to use that word and when we're reading a number. Okay, so I'm going to just get you to practice for a minute with different numbers of quarters, okay? All right, ready? How much is 2 quarters? Yep, 50 cents. Good. What about 4 quarters? Yeah, $1. Good. All right, how much is 1 quarter? 25 cents. How much is 3 quarters? 75 cents. Good. How much is 4 quarters again? $1. Good. How much is 2 quarters? 50 cents. Good. And how much is 1 quarter? 25 cents. Good. So, what if I had some quarters and some pennies? How would I say that, and how would I count it? Well, let's take an example. I've got 1 quarter, so say that amount. 25 cents. And then if I added 2 pennies to it, let's think of how we would count that. We would say 25, and then we would say 26, 27. Excellent. Good. All right. What if I had 2 quarters? How much is that again? 50 cents. Good. Now what if I had some pennies with it? Okay, do the quarters first. I'm not going to say 25 and 25. I'm just going to know that two of them are 50. So I'm just going to say 50. 51, 52, 53, 54. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Oh, I see 4 quarters. I'm going to put them in a group of 4. When I'm counting money, if I see 4 quarters, I'm just going to put 4 of them together because I know that's how much? Yep, it's $1. So I know I've got $1, and then I can count whatever other change I've got. Let's see, I have $1 and a nickel. Okay, so how would I say that? I would say I have $1 and 5 cents. Good. All right, keep that $1 for a second. What do I have now? I have $1 and 10 cents. Good. All right. What do I have now? $1 and 2 cents. Great. All right. What do I have now? $1 and 5 cents. Great. Good job. Okay. What if I had 2 quarters and a dime? All right, I know that I've had to memorize what 2 quarters are. I'm not going to sit there in my head and try to add 25 plus 25. I just want to know that answer. So how much are 2 quarters? 50 cents. Good. And how much is a dime worth? 10. So that means I'm going to have to count on, but I'm going to have to count on by tens, right? So I'm going to say 50, and then what would come next if I were counting by tens? 60. Good. So how much is that? 60 cents. Good. Now watch. I'm going to keep that dime. I'm going to add another coin. And let's talk through how we would count that. I'm going to get them all organized. Remember how whenever we're counting money, we want to organize everything by the kind of coin. All right, so here are my 2 quarters. I've memorized that, so I know that is 50 cents. Good. Count on by 10. 60 cents. Good. And one more makes 61 cents. Excellent. Okay, now I'm going to write some amounts for you, and I want you to think about, I want you to tell me how many quarters I would need to make them, okay? Okay, read that amount for me. 50 cents. How many quarters is that? 2. Great. Okay, I'm going to write the one that's different. What does that mean? $1. Good, $1. So how many quarters do I need? Yep, I need 4 quarters to equal $1. Good. Okay, what about this? How many quarters do I need for that amount? 25 cents. Yep, just 1. Good. Okay, and then what about this? How many quarters do I need for that? 3. 3 quarters equals 75 cents. Great job. Okay, so that's a little more advanced work with money today. Good job learning about quarters.